Sophia, it's really exciting to be joining you today and speaking all about what it's been like racing in the Formula E Race at Home Challenge and also racing in your career. Could you tell me a little bit about, what it's been like getting into motorsport and the things that got you inspired in the first place?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me. I'm really happy to do this today. Well, I started racing or with motorsport when I was 4 years old, so actually 15 years ago. And well, to be honest, in the beginning, I did it because it was a hobby. It was fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and of course, at that time, it was mainly boys and me. But that was what I enjoyed the most, beating them and making them angry, let's say. And I never thought to get to cars or to get that far up, let's say. But yeah, I always kept on doing what I loved, and I was really lucky and happy to have my family behind me and supporting me the whole time. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I actually started, and well, of course, I loved it because of the speed, because of overtaking, and fighting with other guys.
Did you find that a challenge, getting into motorsport in the first instance as a woman and what's that been like for you really?
Well, when I started, it was not that big of a struggle or anything. Like for me, it wasn't strange. Of course, I was the only girl, but for me, it was fun. Just the older I got, the more I realized that it was not something normal. Let's say, because especially the dads of the guys were always like pretty mean and angry and didn't really like it if I was quicker. And the older I got, the more I understood why, because it's super strange if a girl beats your son. But I never really had any issues or so. I mean, of course, there are some people always saying like, yeah, a woman cannot drive or so. But it kind of motivated me more to train more and to show them and to prove them. And also nowadays, it's still the same. If someone doesn't believe in women being quick, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna prove you that women can be quick.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I mean, do you think sometimes that having to, coming up against those kinds of circumstances, that gives you almost like an extra element of determination and drive to prove yourself and to push yourself to find your limits?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I mean, was there like one thing that got you into motorsport? How did that come about? Was it through family or just yeah?
Well, starting from the very beginning, I was actually doing a lot of skiing because we live in Munich, which is I don't know the it's one of the southest cities in Germany and really close to Austria. So in winter we always went skiing and I loved it and enjoyed it a lot. But then because it's still like 1 hour drive, my parents were thinking about finding a sport which I could also do in Germany, in Munich, but it's close to skiing, like so I can train balance and everything. And then the doctor said, yeah, go motocross riding. So I actually did that when I was 3, 4 years old.
Seriously, on bikes?
Yeah, on bikes, but like really small bikes, and I wasn't really jumping. I was just driving and having fun. But then at some time I hurt it myself. Like I don't know, I didn't break my arm, but my arm hurted for some weeks. And then my dad, because he did karting, and then he was like, "Yeah, okay, come with me. You can't fall. There's 4 wheels." So that's actually kind of how I got into it. And then it got more karting and less skiing, and then at some point just karting.
Wow, that's a great story. It's funny how people can find their way in, like through different things, and especially when you had no real intention, you know, motorsport was something to help you build up skiing. And do,
And then
do
it
you,
was
do
the
you,
poor love actually coming through.
do you still ski now?
Sometimes, I mean, it's I love it, and my parents always go for skiing in winter. But for me, it depends. Like sometimes I do it, but always with having in my mind, okay, I need to be careful because otherwise I don't want to crash or so and hurt myself. But I still love it. It's the mountains are something special, and I'll always have it in my heart.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I think I love snowboarding, and again, I'm a real mountain lover. And I used to love just going, trying to go straight down the mountain as fast as I can. And
Think
it,
like speed is in our blood.
it's hardwired, it's in there somewhere. But you, like you say, you always have that thing when you're like, well, if I have an injury now, then race season's going to be starting. And yeah, you have to kind of enjoy it for different reasons, I think, don't you?
Yeah, true. So that's the reason why I don't really do it a lot or once a year actually.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody if, say, they were looking to break into motorsport at that, the age that you started?
I think you should always do what you love, and if you enjoy it, then do it. And of course, I know that the higher you get, the more expensive actually also motorsport gets. But I think there's always a way you can do it and handle it. I mean, I'm also not coming. My parents are also not that rich or so to actually afford racing or now Formula Three, which is crazy. But I always try to find people who believe in me, and I think if you believe in yourself and if you love the sport so much, then you can also show and prove that other people, and then maybe other people help you out. But I think that's the most important. Always do what you love, believe in yourself, and keep fighting, even if there are hard times. And if you're not winning every time, it will come eventually.
That I think if you've got that passion and you can communicate that to people, it's quite an infectious thing, I think, and just that determination to get to where you want to in any sport or any career. People really can get behind that, and yeah,
I
it's
think
really
people
pretty
need to
thing.
feel like you love it and that it's really your passion, and that's I think the most important. And then everything will come by time. I think.
Yeah, you just got to keep believing, haven't you? Keep pushing, stay determined. Who would you say your I don't know, who would you say your idols are in the sport? Who do you look up to?
Well, in the sport, of course, it's Lewis Hamilton. Kind of. He's kind of the driver I try to learn most of. Since some years, just I mean, he's six-time world champion, and I think he's just always proving that he's beating his teammates quicker than his teammates, and even if there are people and yeah, some voices going around that he's not focused enough and doing other things like his fashion line and all that stuff, he's always then in qualifying showing again 100% and delivering. So I think that's something really special, and I think still being an athlete but being a cool guy on the other side is a way not many athletes can do. So that's kind of why I he's kind of my idol and I look up to.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I have some quite random idols in motorsport. I mean, people that, like a guy called Georg Plaza, who was a German guy that raced in the European Hill Climb Championship. He built this incredible car. It was um, like a BMW M3, but completely space framed with a Judd engine. And it was a crazy car, and he was someone that really inspired me to go racing in Europe in my career, and that led to some really cool things. But I don't know, a few people like Andy Priaulx as well, who is one of very few people in modern times who came from hill climb and then went on to be a professional racing driver and competing at Le Mans. So, but
I think it's important to have idols, even if you not just when you're a child, but even if you get older and more grown up.
I think that's really true. You meet people at all stages throughout your life who inspire you for whatever reason. I often find I meet people who just their determination to and their kind of inner strength to be their true selves and to follow their own path in their life, whatever that is, has just been something that I've taken inspiration from myself. And you never know when you're going to meet these people. It's just, yeah, in all, people who come from all walks of life doing all kinds of things, really.
That's true. That's true.
Who do you say, just in life in general, have you met people like that you can think of that have left a big impression on you? Or
But I think that's many people. Some sponsors probably who came from nowhere but built up their own company, which is complete different area of work, but still they build up a big business. And what I always find very sympathetic, I don't know how I say it, yeah, sympathetic,
yeah, yeah.
is that if people who came from nowhere but got like a big background and like build up their own business and make a lot of money, but they still nice people and didn't change and still I don't know,
Mm.
they don't look like like they would have so much money. So that's also always what really inspires me and how I also want to be if I really make it to the top. Let's say I never want to change and still love kids and sign cards and I don't know, let them sit in my car. That's just me, I think. Um, and yeah, I met Elon Musk, I think 4 years ago
Really? Wow. What was he like?
at an event, and there was probably yeah one of the coolest I don't know appointments or so I've had just because he's still, even if he's such a great person who achieved so much in his life in the past years, he's still so cool and chilled and super
Mm.
nice, even if some random girl who says she's a race driver comes by and just talks to him. So yeah, that's always what really makes people sympathetic, I think.
I wanted to ask you as well. With us coming into Mental Health Week, and it's such an important subject. I think that we all feel free to talk about, and especially right now while we're all going through lockdown, because I think it's such a challenging period for so many. I know I've had my own kind of struggles and stuff, especially just in the last week when you had your crash in Macau and what that was like, and how you felt about when you the first time when you went back to racing. What was that like? Because I got my own kind of story that I wanted to touch on a little bit, and I just thought it'd be really interesting to ask you about this.
Um, so, well, when I had the crash, of course, I was in the hospital right afterwards, and a lot of doctors and nurses around me. But and I had the surgery right the day after. Um, but for me, and I always say it, and no one believes me. But for me, it was always clear to go back in a car and to keep on racing. And um, it was like after the surgery, I think my dad came to me to was in my room, and he was like, "Yeah, Sophia, so many media requests, and the team is asking everything like." You can think about it if you're not sure, but do you want to continue? And if you don't, everyone would understand it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why are you asking me this? Because I really didn't understand it. I didn't see the video then. So I was like, of course I'm gonna go back. There's no question when can I actually drive again? Because for me, I didn't understand that the surgery or like the um, injury I had was that bad. So for me, it was always clear to go back in a car. And then, yeah, 106 days later, I think, it also happened in March in Monza in Italy. And I was looking forward to this for so long. Like, I think it's been with now coronavirus at the time, but I think it was one of the longest times I haven't been driving a race car, and I've missed it so much. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
was so strange, but I think in that time I really realized how much I actually love the sport just because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to do it. And yeah, when I stepped back in the car and drove the first laps of Monza, I was just super happy, and I actually had goosebumps on my whole body, just because
Really?
I was so happy to be back, and also thankful for yeah all the doctors and supporters I had during that time.
Did you find that you had any nerves when you got in the car? Because I remember one time I had a really bad crash in my Formula Renault into the side of a mountain, and 4 weeks later I got in the car to race. Actually, it was the first race I've ever done in Germany, and I remember normally you get in a single seater and you fire up the engine and the whole car buzzes and you feel it and it's a great feeling. And I remember doing that, and I had a bit of a panic attack because I guess it was only 4 weeks before, and I just all the feelings and emotions kind of came back to me at that moment. And did you experience anything like that, or were you just super happy to get back in?
Back in the first time, so not in Italy. But when I came back to Macau last year, I that was something different, and that I think was my real comeback. Cause yeah, I don't know, but I didn't have any mental issues. It's just strange, cause well, I flew to Macau and we signed the contract like I don't know 2 weeks earlier. So it came official like 1 week before flying there, and like everyone was like, "Oh, she's coming back," and yeah, there was a lot of media going on, and actually they made it such a big story. Me coming back and me asking, yeah, how is it to be in the corner here, and how is it to
Mm,
see the wall again, and all that stuff. For me, it wasn't that of an issue, but because of talking and getting it asked so much, the the first time I drove towards that corner was strange. I mean, I remember everything from that crash, and I remember that I was lucky AF at that crash.
Yeah.
But of course, then you have a kind of strange feeling, but it was gone after some laps, and then it was okay. But yeah, I think that was my real comeback actually. I really wanted to go back to Macau. That was for sure something I wanted to do, not just because of the crash, but just because it's an amazing track and event. But it all happened so quick, and it was all like, still now, it was so surreal to actually be there again, just because it was like flying on a cloud and living everything once again. So yeah, it's you really have to be clean in your head when you do such a comeback or go back to a place where you actually had an incident or crash or so. So I completely feel and understand what you had at that time at that weekend.
Yeah, it's a big moment. But then equally, when you overcome something like that and you come out the other side, and you know that you dug deep and you found it in yourself to overcome.
I think, well, at that moment, that weekend, it was really important for me to have my family there, because they supported me and yeah, kept my head calm, let's say, and clean. But yeah, of course, when I had my first free practice and when I stepped out of the car, I was just so happy, because it is one of the best tracks I've ever driven, and probably also one of the best tracks in the world. And I was just so happy to be able to do it again, and thankful for the sponsors who made it possible for me to go back to the place who actually is my second home, let's say. So yeah.
What's it like driving around there? Because it must be, I've watched onboard from Macau, and it just looks, especially in an F3 car, it must just be like.
It's so quick. Like, normally, you have at least some time to think about the next corner or so on a normal track. But on that one, you just, of course, you have this long straight, but then it's just so many corners coming afterwards. And you really have to get in a rhythm and flow to be quick there. And don't think about anything, because that you just don't have the time for this. Because if you think about it, you're already 3 corners later. And yeah, it's amazing. So, I don't know. When I first did it, it was already cool. But then last year in the FIF3, when you arrive, even quicker to the first corner, and it's just amazing. And then you have the weight transfer between all the S's on the top of the city, let's say. It's super cool.
That must help you when you come to race in the Formula E Race at Home Challenge, with just the nature of like the walls and trying to avoid them, and having that balance between drifting the car a bit and having it right on the limit, but also driving cleanly. And
I think that I've done Macau is good for now, being able to do the Formula E Race at Home Challenge, because otherwise I would not have driven one single street circuit actually. But yeah, of course, street circuits are always something completely different and fun. It's just, there's no room for any mistakes, and you really need to be on the limit but not over the limit, because otherwise you end up in the wall. Even locking tires is sometimes not that easy and nice on street circuits. So I'm for me it's super cool to do actually the Race at Home challenge from FE.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm really, really loving it. I'm trying to put a lot of time into it and stuff. How are you finding it really adapting from racing in the physical world to racing in the virtual world, and specifically in the championship we're racing in right now?
Well, I've got a simulator at home, luckily, and I've used it quite a lot also before coronavirus, but it was more for trying to get it as realistic as possible, to be really preparing for training days, for test days, but also race weekends. But then coronavirus started, and I was actually using it a lot just to do some Formula 3 and ELMS tracks. But then all this esports stuff started and got bigger and bigger, and in the beginning I was like, nah, it's gaming and I'm not gonna do it and all that stuff. But then I did want my first race in R Factor 2 and in iRacing, and it was actually a lot of fun. But I realized that I need to train more and get more into esports to be quicker, and that's kind of what I'm doing. So right now, actually, the last weeks I've just spent mainly the whole day downstairs and in my sim room and practicing, yeah, different tracks, different cars on different softwares, and it's fun. I mean, I'm enjoying it, and I think it's the most important to enjoy it and to have fun. Now, also in the FE Challenge Grid, you're racing against some sim races, and to beat them is tough. It's hard work. Because of course, sim racing is something different compared to real racing, and there are also some tricks you need to know. But it's good fun, and I'm happy to also be doing the race in Hong Kong again with the FE, and yeah, it's cool. But I really hope to be back with real racing soon again.
It's really interesting hearing you describe your experience because it ties into so many things that I've been feeling. Like I think as someone who's used to racing in the physical world, you have an idea of what your level is and how quick you are. And it's not that I came into this and I thought, oh, I'll just be really fast and it'll be easy. There's time, like now I'm starting to learn what some of the techniques are, and especially being able to see other people's on board and see how they're driving. But it's really tough because I think when a lot of people are watching as well, and you think, oh no, my time probably looks really slow. It's not. It's like,
The first races I did, I was like, oh, I don't know. On real track, I beat this guy, and I'm not that slow, and I can do better, and I want to go real racing again, because you're just like, it's really annoying. Like, I hated being in the back and not showing what I can actually do, but I'm like, okay, I'm 1/10 quicker, yes, and then you didn't change anything in position. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm just trying to train as much as possible and to enjoy it, and then we'll see where it comes out. But I think also the people watching know that it's something different compared to driving a real car, and I think that's the most important. And apart from this, of course, the more I'm in front, the more happy I am.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh well, I hope you do well this weekend. And
Good luck for you too.
yeah, have a good race and see you on the grid. Enjoy.